Yo, you're watching a stream of Fish Shit People, and once again I'm here for you guys with yet another video, and this time, as you can tell by the clearly very obvious title at the bottom of the screen, we are looking at Paddington 2, which is a movie. So, before we start the video, I would just like to wish all you guys a very happy new year. I know we're already quite a bit of the way into January, but I'm just going to wish you guys a happy new year anyway, because I'm nice like that. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into my review of Paddington 2, and, yeah, that's about it, really. I mean, if you came to this video expecting it to be about anything else, then, unfortunately, you were sorely mistaken, and you probably should have read the title of this video. Anyway, on with the video. In case you're wondering, and let's be honest, you're probably not, I have seen Paddington 1, and I gotta say, I freaking love that movie. It's one of the best family films I'd seen in years, and I still really enjoy it whenever I watch it. And now the sequel is unsurprisingly upon us, and I must say, from what I saw in the trailers, it looked pretty good. I wasn't really dying to see it, but I was in the mindset where if someone asked me if I wanted to go see it, I would say, yeah, sure, why not? Well, ironically, I ended up going to see this film on my own at the local cinema. Just to clarify, I do have a social life. And after seeing it, do I agree that it's a really, really good movie? Yeah, totally. Do I agree that it's as good as the first? No. But do I agree that it sure as hell comes close? Yes. Paddington 2, similar to the first movie, is a damn entertaining movie that will get more than just a few laughs out of you. And that's one of the best things about this movie. The comedy in this film is better than ever. Some of the jokes have me going from chuckling to laughing hysterically, while others have me going from laughing hysterically to downright crying with laughter. This movie uses very old school jokes that you think wouldn't be funny, but because they put slightly different spins on those jokes and the scenarios in which those jokes are told, it just makes it sound hilarious. Even the slapstick comedy had me dying with laughter at points, and I'll be honest, I haven't laughed this hard in a comedy for a good while. However, while this film is absolutely hilarious, that doesn't mean Paddington 2 is without its sad moments, and boy, I gotta tell you, there were 3 points in this movie where I nearly broke down in tears. I think I may be becoming a bit of a movie crybaby, but seriously, there are moments in this movie that are genuinely emotional, and they're more than likely to shed a few tears. And that's one of the things I think Paddington 2 does better than the first. It makes you care for Paddington a lot more this time around, and as the film progresses, you care more and more about him as he's forced to go through these somewhat traumatic events, and it's through these events that Paddington grows more and he becomes more relatable as a character. Speaking of Paddington himself, he looks and sounds amazing. The CG for Paddington looks brilliant. When I look at him, I think, yeah, that's really a bear walking beside Hugh Bonneville. The vocal performance from Ben Whishaw is as good as ever. I loved his performance as this little bear in the first movie, and I love it even more here. He brings so much fun, compassion, and charm to this character to the point where Paddington feels like someone you would instantly get along with within seconds of meeting him. As for the rest of the cast, they're all great here. The chemistry between Sally Hawkins and Hugh Bonneville was one of the highlights of the last film, and they're just as good here. Seeing two people who have two completely different ideologies on how to get things done makes for some of the film's best jokes, and the two play off each other exceptionally well. And the two kids played by Samuel Jocelyn and Madeline Harris, I probably said both of those names wrong, I do apologise, are also great here. However, it was a bit of a shame that they didn't have as much to do here as they did in the first. There are a lot of things that are set up for both of these kids as potentially important plot lines, but unfortunately these plot points are skimmed over pretty quickly without much development. Overall, it was a bit disappointing to see a couple of characters who played huge roles in the first being thrown in the sidelines. However, while everyone in this movie did great, the standout for me was easily Brendan Gleeson as Knuckles. He was so freaking funny in this movie, and he has some of the film's best comedic lines. Although I also found his character very interesting and relatable, and the friendship that blossoms between Knuckles and Paddington was quite touching and, I'll admit, very sweet. Hugh Grant as the villain of this movie was really something. He was so over the top in his delivery, and a lot of the scenes where it's just Hugh Grant in a scene on his own are gold. He is clearly relishing in this role and having a blast doing it, and it shows in his performance. If I have to be really honest though, I didn't really enjoy the first 10 to 20 minutes of the film. I just couldn't really get into the story because it felt a bit rushed, and honestly, I got very worried it was setting up a fairly bland and cliched story. But thankfully, I was wrong, because this movie got so much better after the 20-minute mark. This movie basically takes a very similar story structure and premise, but instead of just outright rehashing it like I was afraid it would, it chose to make fun of all the dumbest elements of that particular storyline. And similar to a lot of the other jokes in this movie, those scenes make for some really good laughs and also helps the story to feel like something new because of the way it makes fun of different scenarios you would expect to see in this particular storyline, but it also makes fun of those scenarios by having them play out differently to the way you would expect them to play out. The best way I can really describe Paddington 2 is really by calling it an exceptionally smart spoof movie, and I feel that Kingsman: The Secret Service is also a good example of an exceptionally smart spoof movie because of the way that film makes fun of a lot of the tropes you would expect to see in a spy film, like all the crazy gadgets for example, but it makes fun of those tropes in a smart way. Paddington 2 does something very similar, but rather than making fun of an entire genre of films like Kingsman did, it just focuses on a particular story structure and makes fun of the tropes you would expect to see in that story structure, but like Kingsman, it does it in a smart way. Paddington 2 is a really fun time in the cinema. I did enjoy the first one just ever so slightly more, but Paddington 2 is still a really, really good time. It was good to see a sequel that wasn't trying so hard to be better than the original and just focused on being its own beast. I do recommend you go and see it if you're having a really bad day and you really need something to cheer you up. Trust me, it'll do you the trick. I really enjoyed this movie, and with that said, Paddington 2 gets an 8 out of 10. So, guys, those are my thoughts on Paddington 2. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I think that's about all of it. And, yeah, that's about it. So, yeah, I'll let you go and enjoy your day. So, without further ado, I'm going to get out of your hair. And, oh yeah, also, what do you think of Paddington 2? You think it was good? Do you think it was bad? Do you think it was somewhere in the middle? Please leave your thoughts down in the comments below. And, yeah, I'll get out of your hair now. Bye!